How's it going? David here. Well, it's Friday, so what does that mean? It's Financial Fridays. And that is basically where I give different tips and advice on your financial futures, how to just better it in general, and just give you overall sense what's going on in case you didn't know. So what I'm going to talk about in today's video is compound interest. And I was recently talking with my dad, and it's kind of amazing to me sometimes that people can go through life not really understanding the concept. Like they might know what it means and all that kind of stuff, but until you lay it out in like a graph form and put real dollars attached to it, do they not really understand? And that's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to show you a graph and show you exactly how much you can make just by putting in barely any money and how much you'll have in the future. Now, the key is you want to start as early as possible. So if you start at age 1, that'd be great, but not everyone can do that. So you want to start as early as possible because time is on your side and that's what will help you grow. Now, that doesn't mean that if you're later in life, 50, 60-year-old, you can't use it as well. It's still great. And so what is compound interest? Compound interest is basically every year, whatever investment you have grows by that percentage. So let's say it's $100 and in the account and it grows by 10% a year. Well, after the first year, you'll have $110 because 10% of $100, $110. Then the next year, you'll have 10% of $110. So you'll have $11. And you see how this slowly adds up over time, every year over year. So $100 is a small amount, but imagine if that was $100,000 or $1 million, right? It really, really adds up. The first year, if you have $1 million, you have $100,000 just given to you from interest. And then next year you'll have, 1.1 million. So then you'll have, $110,000. There you go. That's how it really, really adds up. And so I'm going to show you exactly how much you can be making. And also another key factor is you want to be contributing monthly to this fund. So let's show you. I have this little calculator here, compound interest calculator. Just Google this, pretty easy to find. So initial amount, what is the initial amount? That is like basically your initial deposit into your account where you can make this kind of money. So let's just start off small. Let's do $100. As you see, this graph is kind of moving as I do it. Contributions. This is how much you are going to contribute every single month. Now, let's just say, you're 20 years old. You don't make that much money. So let's just do $100 a month, right? That's all you're going to put in, $100 a month. You could manage that. That's not very much. And I get it. As years go by, maybe when you're 20, you put in $100. Maybe when you're 30, you put in, $250. Maybe when you're 40, you're putting $500 a month. It will be different. But the sooner you start and the more you start with, the better. But you don't want to put yourself into debt just so you can make some, contribution. All right, rate of return. That is the percentage per year that you're going to get on average. Now, if you go against the S&P 500, over the past 30 years, the S&P 500 has delivered a compound annual interest growth rate of 10.7%. That's average over 30 years. So you can pretty much guarantee you're going to get around 10%. And here you can look at the years. In 1991, it was 30%. In 92, it was 7%. If you come down to 01, it was negative 12%. 02 was negative 22%. But then you have the very next year is up 28%. So it just kind of averages all together. Obviously 08, negative 37%, really bad year. But then the next year, up 26%, 15%, 2%, 16%, 32%. Recently, it's been negative 4, negative 31, positive 31, positive 18. So it all kind of balances out. So you get about 10% over the last 30 years, which is pretty good. So we'll put that in here. We'll move it up to 10%. And as you can see, this slowly grows and grows. Let's do 10% even. Now, years of growth. Let's say you're 20, and then you want this money by the time you're, let's say 55, not 65. Let's do 55. So you start at 20. You're adding in. Start with $100, and you're only adding $100 a month. Even when you're 50 years old, you're only putting in $100 a month. What does that look to? So down here in the blue, that is how much you contributed over, the first year, second year, third year, this fourth year, just barely anything. You have contributed if you do $100 down payment, or this down, and then $100 a month for the next 35 years, you will have put in $42,000. That's how much you have actually put in, your actually money. But how much will you actually get with the compound interest of only 10%? You will have gotten $382,000. 340 of that is going to be interest that you've earned, and then another 42% will be what you actually put in. So your $42,000 over 35 years of just $100 a month will be $382,000. Think about that. That's almost 10x your money over time. And that's what you need. You need time. Now, let's just say you want to start off at, you put in $1,000 to begin with. And now let's change this. Instead of $100 a month, let's say some months you can put in 200. Say down the road you have a better job when you're like later 20s and you're putting in 250. And let's just kind of average it all out. Let's say you end up doing 300. Maybe in the beginning years it's a little less, but then later it's a little more. Let's say you end up doing, 500 a month. So this is what, just $500 a month, starting with opening your account with $1,000 at 10%, which follows the S&P 500 for 35 years. You will have put in $210,000 yourself, but you'll have gained $1.7 million in interest. Almost $2 million you'll have at the end of 35 years with $500. Now, it seems like a lot when you're starting out, but maybe at 20 it's a lot. But at 30, is it really that much? At 40, is it that much? And your dollar will be worth less over time because of inflation. But anyways, think about that. You start with $1,000, put in $500 a month, and in 35 years, that's what you got, $2 million. What if you start this at 30, and then by 35 years, you're at 65? Same thing. You'll have $2 million just sitting in a bank account. And now watch this. Let's say we do one more year of doing the exact same thing, only adding in $500 a month, one more year. We're at 1.93. Remember that number. Now we're at 2.1. Look at that. 1.9, 2.1. In 1 year, you're just putting in $500 a month of just one extra year. So you're putting $6,000 for the year. Look at that difference. 1.9, 2.1. Now let's do it again. 2.3. See how much is growing? If you literally go an extra, just adding $500 a month, which is $6,000 a year, let's add an extra 5 years onto that of just putting $500 a month. Keeping it, not touching this. Let's go up to 40 years. You're at 3.2. You went from 1.9 to $3.2 million. See how much that grows by? The earlier you start, the better it is. But let's just say it's a little late. Let's say you're 40 and you want to retire at 65. But you have some money to throw around because you're a little older. Say you got $3,000 to start. Let's just go this down to one. $3,000 to start. And let's say you can contribute $1,000 a month. Let's just say 10% you return. 25 years, you're at 1.3 million. How much did you actually put in? You put in 300,000, but you gained $1 million in interest alone. So that is the beauty of compound interest. Like, play around this calculator. You can do all sorts of things. Maybe you want to be more aggressive and you want to do 15% return. Well, look at that. 300,000 you put in, you got $3 million in interest just by going up to 15%. Let's say you want to be more safe. There you go. You put in 300,000, you're getting $300,000 back in 25 years. Let's just say you don't have that much time, right? Let's say, you're later in life and you want to put in like $5,000 to begin with. You want to contribute, say, $1,000, do 10%. Let's say you only want to do it for, say you're 55 already and you want to do it to 65. Or you're 60 and you want to do it to 70. Right here. You will have put in 120,000 and you'll have gained 93 in 10 years. So your 120,000 will almost double. It'll be 220. Just putting in 5,000 down and $1,000 a month. And many people think, oh, I'm too old, too old. I talked to my girlfriend's parents about it, and then they started to do more investing stuff. And they're 70. I mean, they're in pretty good health, so who knows how long they're going to live. But it's as good to have investments. So please play around with these numbers and let me know what you think. If you're younger or even not, start early. Start early. I started my mutual fund. It's gotten me, I think, I want to say like 12% a year since I started. I think I started at 18 is when I started it. And, for a while there, when I was on my own and I was barely making any money, I didn't really put any money into it. I took money a couple times out of it to, like, my car broke down and I needed money. And so I, got a car, took out like a couple grand for that and a couple other things. But I still have it to this day, and I still add into it. I add, I think, $250 into that one, and then I add about a couple grand into stocks a month. So I vary between the two. But always keep some kind of mutual fund, stock, whatever. The mutual fund's nice and easy. It automatically deducts from my paycheck every month, and I don't even have to think about it. And then it is what it is. So have a good weekend and play around with these numbers. Thanks.